This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, so we can check out that baggage claim video for sure, because I know people want me to check out that one, and... goddamn baggage claim. God.
Quick disclaimer. Everything...
Yeah, she does anti-woke stuff and Meghan Markle stuff for the most part. Okay. She-Hulk. Let's dive in.
The finale of She-Hulk aired last week, and we need to talk about it. Now, I'm sure the writers and creators of this masterpiece are at this very moment high-fiving each other, ecstatic about their victory over the racist and sexist people of the world. But I have bad news for them. No matter how much Disney and Marvel try to bribe and manipulate every statistic, She-Hulk was not a success. And if it...
Bribe? And also victory over... What?
gets a second season, it will be simply because of Marvel's continued desire to show disdain towards their own fan base. So in this video...
Yes, their successful show gets a second season, and if it does, it's because they hate their fans. What? I like how they can just say shit.
We're gonna talk about why She-Hulk sucks. Let's start with the most obvious. Jennifer Walters is not likable. Now, I've never read the comic books, but from...
I covered baggage claim a while ago, Mikhail, but I've not seen this video. I think I've only covered one baggage claim video.
What I can tell, the She-Hulk comic was popular, and for many, one of their favorite characters. A far cry from the reception the show's title character has received. And rightly so, might I add. She-Hulk, or Jen, right off the bat comes off as dismissive, self-obsessed, and immature.
I'm just trying to show you how it's done.
I'm shown.
She complains about not being respected by her male peers in her field of expertise, but then turns around and completely marginalizes Bruce's experience as a Hulk and is already convinced of her own superiority, despite...
Yes, it's almost like in that first episode, she was being a brat and wasn't 100% right, and maybe Bruce was in the right that episode. If only we had a season-long arc to establish this type of thing.
Being a Hulk for a couple of hours. She completely lacks any humility and can't even consider that maybe, just maybe, Bruce could teach her something. Instead, she insults him and...
Yeah, she was wrong.
And belittles all the struggles he's been through.
It's called a character arc.
Life wasn't taken away.
Really? Oh, so you didn't wind up alone? Hiding away on some remote beach with no friends, no relationships, never seeing your family, and definitely not dealing with a decade's worth of trauma?
And overemphasizes her own status as a female victim all the time. So our new heroine is rude, condescending, and has a superiority complex with no setups or payoffs for any redemption arc. I wonder why the audience doesn't like or connect with her. And in later episodes, it only gets worse. Jen shows up to a wedding not to support her friend, but to take attention away from the bride. But it's okay, since the bride is clearly a terrible person.
Do you think you could help me, clean some stuff up around here, straighten up, take up some of these empties, tidy up?
And Jen, as it turns out, is a complete pushover. Wait, are we sure this woman is a successful lawyer, but she can't stand up for herself when she's repeatedly mistreated at a wedding? And that's the second reason for why the show is so goddamn awful. What the hell are these female characters? You're telling me, in a show made in 2022, with a diverse set of writers, the best these women could come up...
Yeah, says Gary with a voice changer, maybe.
...up with were these terrible characters? These women are all obsessed with each other's clothes.
I like the edit, too. There's we're about ready to get into the third picture, and you just... And before we even see this third picture, it's gone.
With each other's clothes.
You need to dress like you respect yourself and not like a football player pleading no contest to a DUI. Nikki, you obviously spend a lot of time thinking about what you're going to wear. Why don't you help Walters with her look?
Putting each other down or showing each other up, or generally just being drunk idiots. And the less said about them...
So wait, you guys usually, the anti-woke Fandom Menace crowd, you usually complain when women are portrayed as being perfect. In fact, you were trying to make that argument at the beginning about Jen, even though it's clearly not portraying her as perfect. And now your argument is, oh, these women aren't perfect. Ugh. Have a standard.
Megan Thee Stallion scene, the better. This right here is the face of modern feminism. And I'm sure the writers would love to blame all this embarrassing female behavior on their favorite scapegoats, men. And that's reason number 3.
Hey, you smell nice. Oh, thanks. It's Scentbird. Wait, who are you talking to? Oh, nothing. It's Scentbird. It's a subscription service.
Wow. Oh my god, this is still going. Over a minute.
scapegoat of failed MCU writers, men.
Menace die?
And that's reason number 3 for why we should all cancel our Disney Plus membership. The men on the show are what can be best described as nincompoops. Here are our best examples. Meet guy who calls women it.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Meet guy who doesn't care about a woman's career.
So what do you do?
I'm a lawyer. I just started at a firm downtown, GLK&H.
Meet guy who expects the woman to pay.
Thank you so much for the drinks.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we should do this again.
Meet guy who calls a woman a specimen.
What a specimen.
Meet guy who would literally rather die than have a difficult conversation with a woman. Meet guy who doesn't understand.
Yeah, it's like they're showing toxic men that she encounters. Yes.
And the definition of alone.
I hate to see two stunning women sitting all alone.
The one guy that isn't terrible on the show is named Pug. Wonder where his leash is, because he's a harmless little lapdog, clearly.
Wow. Just like, okay, so like you're complaining that all the guys are toxic, and then you're gonna pull out an example of a guy who isn't toxic and be like, oh, his name is Pug. Ha ha ha. And also, what about Daredevil? What about Bruce? They aren't toxic either. Are you just gonna forget about them?
And to be fair, they did treat Daredevil quite well in the show, but I suspect that was because the execs were insistent on how his character is represented. Have to protect.
Okay, I like how you're just pulling that out of your butt. Yeah, no, he was represented pretty much how he was previously.
The next Marvel project, am I right? But it's clear that this is how the writers view men, as chauvinistic, narcissistic, dismissive idiots who are really only interested in sex or Jen's blood. And I guess the first part is okay since Jen...
Well, she went to a dating app and went on dates with guys who were after She-Hulk. So yeah, she met some toxic dudes.
Jen is only interested in sex too, but that blood thing, not cool. Oh god, please stop. Please make this stop, please. Dear god.
That's literally a scene from the comic book, just literally right there.
Which is why we need to move on to reason number 4 for why I will be rubbing my eyes and ears with bleach. The general utter disdain for the audience. So much of the show is written as a preemptive strike against its expected critics, since the main villain of the show is a group of male incels that are angry that a woman can be a Hulk, but also a successful lawyer with a good butt, I guess. At least that's how the show creators think about the reason for all the hate that She-Hulk has received and will continue to receive. But I am the show creators' worst nightmare. I am a woman, and I am also a woman of color. Thankfully, it's not green, and I too did not like the show. She-Hulk was
fine.
It's clearly a successful comic book, a thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated female.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of the stuff the show did that you complained about, like twerking, is something that would happen in the comic book, just saying.
Hero in a medium that generally attracts male readership. And yet, the comic did well. So why did the creators feel the need to assume that men were going to hate She-Hulk? I mean, they weren't wrong.
Why do you assume men hated She-Hulk? I mean, I wasn't thrilled with the middle of it. I thought it began well. I didn't like the final episode, but the episodes, the two before the final episode, I thought were the strongest in the series. Overall, I thought was fine. The middle was kind of eh.
A lot of people and a lot of men hate the show. And is it any wonder? The men on the show are absolute reprehensible examples of masculinity. And it's...
I like that, but you know, Pug doesn't count because his name's like a dog. So we're going to ignore Pug, who's a clear counter to your whole argument, and be like, oh, all the men are toxic.
It's clear that the writers are all aching to put them in their place and prove to them that women are superior. So...
Just ignoring the whole arc at the beginning was about how She-Hulk should be staying and learning with Bruce, but she blows him off and just kind of fucks up a lot during the series.
Why would men enjoy the show when it's clear that the writers think so ill of them? The character of She-Hulk was not really treated with respect as a proper character with edges and shadows, but rather...
So wait, is your argument going to be that she's not a Mary Sue? Almost like she's like a character that they develop as the series goes on?
As a caricature turned into a dark fantasy for the writers to repeatedly dunk on men. And then they turned around and...
Oh, fuck. This is just redundant. Yeah, God, she's... I hate to throw it around, but she's essentially just a pick-me girl. She's, you know, fucking, you know... Hey, look at, just saying all the stuff that men would want to hear. Jesus.
Complained that the men refused to lay down and take it, and that any women that dislike the show are clearly criticizing it because of their internalized misogyny and their desire to see women fail. And fine, I'm sure people will lump me into that category, but I suggest the writers look at their work honestly. Did this show really offer any sort of compelling story? After Jen refuses to become a superhero, calling the Avengers narcissists...
That is for billionaires.
Yeah, but at the end, she decides to embrace becoming a superhero, and she goes out with Daredevil and fights some crime.
and narcissists and adult orphans.
Yeah, she's a bit much. We're almost on Mikael.
For some reason.
It's amazing that the rest of the show is about her dating life.
Give me another request, guys.
Her name and her struggles with acquiring clothing. And yet, she views the willingness to serve people and the world as narcissistic. Jen experiences no growth through the show. Instead, she remains flat and uninteresting, achieving her happy ending by speaking to the manager and making sure everyone is arrested. But the final and most crucial reason for the failure of this show is the worldview the writers and creators have laid out in front of us.
I don't have much to say. This is just piss poor analysis.
There is nothing heroic, nothing aspiring or inspiring. Instead, it's actually pretty bleak, since the men are tools and the women are vapid. And
hey, we're just going to ignore the men that are counter to my argument. We're going to ignore the women that are counter to my argument, and then just, go with the other ones.
It's clearly how the writers truly think about the world we live in, which is why instead of creating content that inspires...
Really? Clownfish made a James Cameron is a woke video pop counterculture? That's kind of funny. James Cameron's always been woke. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
They created something that is 9 episodes of constant finger wagging at men. And you know what? It could have at least worked out if it was even a little bit funny. But turns out it was about as funny as a lecture on intersectional feminism. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please like...
That's just terrible analysis. It's she's just saying the stuff all the toxic men in her audience want her to say. That is all she is saying with that video. That was awful.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.